Thank you for joining me in this presentation. We're going to talk about the FBAT and the CJBAT tests. We do offer test prep on our website. Make sure to check them out, CJBATtest.com and FBATtest.com. We also have law enforcement entrance test preparation for other agencies, and including federal law enforcement if you want to join the Customs and Border Protection as an officer or as a Border Patrol agent, and ICE special agent. We have test preps for that. So let's jump into the Florida law enforcement today. So first thing, you need to make sure you check this website out. A lot of information, a lot of FAQ, very interesting. If you want to become a police officer in Florida, a sheriff deputy, a highway patrol officer, or even a dispatcher, 911 dispatcher, you want to check this website out. There's a lot of information. FDLE.state.fl.us, and right now we're on the FAQ page and talking about a lot of information about the basic abilities test. So if you are out looking for a job, thinking of you might be already a police officer or law enforcement in some capacity in Florida or other states. A lot of time when you are in this job website, you're going to run into different positions. Okay, so you might have a position of reserve police officer. You might have a position where they're advertising actually for cadet, and basically these are like basic recruitment requirements. So as you can tell, the FBAT, Florida Basic Abilities Test, or the CJBAT, which is the Criminal Justice Basic Ability Test, is required. So make sure if you're applying to a specific position, make sure to understand what is the requirement of that specific agency for that position. Okay, so in this particular position, which is a basic entrance cadet position, which actually this is a pretty good pay for cadet. I don't know if this is the entrance pay or this is a pay that you would get after a few years, after a year or two. I don't know. Well, you gotta have to read that. But basically, a lot of these positions advertised, they are geared toward people that are already certified as Florida peace officers. Okay, so if you're already a Florida peace officer certified, then you don't need to take the CJBAT and the FBAT test. Okay, but if you're basically trying to get to a position where they actually would pay for your academy, then you will need to take these tests because that's how they're going to evaluate you. So make sure you read very well what they're requiring from you, and if the position requires you to be already certified, that means that you are somebody who has finished their academy, maybe worked a few years with a police department, and you're trying to transfer to maybe another department, or even let's say you are a police officer and you want to become a state trooper, or vice versa, a state trooper or sheriff deputy and wants to become a police officer at certain PD, then make sure you read all these requirements. I do believe also a lot of agencies in Florida, they require a swim test. Yes, here you go. So because of the topography of Florida and the rivers and lakes and everything, and the raising of the ocean, I think they predicted that Miami might be underwater within the next 100 years or so. So you need to know how to swim in Florida. So make sure that you check that the agency that you are applying for, they do, on top of the written test, and this is basically a voice stress analysis test. Is very common. Some agencies use polygraph, and this is another way of basically analyzing if you're telling the truth or not. But the swim test is big in Florida, so make sure you look into that and make sure that the agency that you are applying to does not require a swim test if you don't know how to swim. And if they do require how to swim, then you will need some tutoring, some training that will be most likely paid by yourself out of pocket to be able to gain those skills so you can pass the test. Now, the written test, FBAT and CJBAT, basically evolves around these three skills. Now, this is maybe a reading and writing English skills, or language skills. A lot of time, if you look into certain positions, they do require you to have this test of basic adult education, which basically also covers the same area, reading, mathematics, language skills, but not that many. I think most of the agencies would not require this, but I came across one ad that was requiring this, and this was, yeah, here you go. So this one was a community service officer, and it would require you to have a passing score on the CJBAT and FBAT scores, 79 or better. I do believe there has been a change recently. You do want to contact FDLE. I think they accept scores above 70, but I'm not sure. I think something has been updated and changed recently on this, because this ad, we're like end of 2018 recording this video, and this ad was from 4 years ago, but it's still, I think, a valid ad. I mean, they still kept it up. They didn't remove it. But basically, I just wanted to show you that, yes, this agency also requires CJBAT and FBAT, but on top of that, they also want the TABE, the TABE test. So now, you know, I think if you can score on CJBAT or FBAT somewhere around like 80 or 90, then you should definitely be able to score an acceptable pass score on the TAB. So I don't really worry about that too much. I think the most important thing is to work on these three skills and have a solid preparation, and just give yourself time. Like, don't try to rush into these entrance tests. That's a big mistake that a lot of these candidates do. They think that, oh my god, I gotta take this like tomorrow. No, you are competing with a lot of other candidates. Okay, so there are thousands of people just like you trying to compete for these positions, and you know, the recruiters, at the end of the day, they don't know you unless you know someone inside, which is not the case for most of the candidates. Okay, and a lot of times, you know, because of the fact that it's a city, state, county jobs, you know, there's just a lot of oversight, so they don't want people to be able to bring their kin, their family, their you know, they don't want that kind of corruption in the hiring process. So a lot of time, people that interview you, they will not even know like what was your test score or what your resume is or any of that. They have like standardized questions, and they will go through those questions and then score you based on your answer. So, and all these measures, they have been implemented just so like people would not unfairly, let's say, target a candidate and then maybe have give like better scores to their friends or family. So try to position these people instead of someone who has been maybe, you know, scoring better and deserving better of this position. So the bottom line is, if you want to prepare for CJBAT or FBAT, you can go to our website here, and it will lead to the server of the test is on this link. So when you go on any of this site, it will link you at the end in the registration page for a very small fee. You can take advantage of this, and I can show you here, once you have access to the premium paid content of the website, you will be able to practice. Here you have a lot of practice tests, spelling, reading comprehension, logical reasoning. Okay, so let's talk about logical reasoning. Now, this is the trickiest part of any law enforcement exam. It doesn't matter if you're in Florida, California, you're preparing for the Pellet B, for post, for the California Peace Officer entrance exam, or you are in Florida, you're trying to become a Florida certified peace officer and enter the police force or the highway patrol or state troopers. So the logical reasoning, or also known as verbal reasoning, is one of the trickiest ones. So you need to make sure that you practice, and you can sign up on our website, CJBATtest.com or FBATtest.com, and it gets you to the same server, and we can you can practice those questions. So and we do have let me see here if we could. Okay, so let's talk about this. So this is a question that talks about produce. It says Tom is in the produce section of this local grocery store, and he asked about the general cost differences across the various types of produce. If he learns that the below statements are true, which of the response option also must be factual? Blueberries are cheaper than raspberries. Raspberries are more expensive than oranges. Grapefruits are more expensive than blueberries. Bananas are cheaper than oranges. So when you're answering this question with your little piece of paper and pen, you want to draw so you get a visual of what's going on here. Okay, so I drew here. If you look, first statement is blueberries are cheaper than raspberries. Okay, so I put the blueberries down, raspberries up, because blueberries are cheaper than raspberries. Okay, so this is the relationship. Raspberries in the top, more expensive, blueberries bottom. Now the second relationship is raspberries are more expensive than oranges. So raspberries, they're going to be on top of oranges. And then grapefruits are more expensive than blueberries. So you got grapefruits on top of blueberries. Let's see, hold on. Now, bananas are cheaper than oranges. So I put bananas under oranges. So now we can say that there is an extended relationship between bananas and raspberries, because we know that raspberries are more expensive than oranges, whatever their price may be, because we don't know their price. Okay, and we can assume their price. Maybe in your local grocery store, I don't know, maybe raspberries are cheaper than blueberries. Who knows? If you go to your local supermarket, grocery store, maybe grapefruits would be the same price as oranges, but we cannot assume, we cannot bring into equation our personal knowledge. Okay, we need to focus on the information that is given to us and just make judgment, make clear, sharp judgment based on the information that is given to us logically, without any assumption. And that's kind of what you're going to be doing in law enforcement. Okay, you might have elements of a crime. You might have a victim that comes forward, tells you that that person, let's say, attacked her or attacked him, and she or he will give you information that he or she was a victim of a crime. But then as you investigate and you gather more information from the witnesses, from the crime scene, from maybe a camera, CCTV footage, then you find out that the victim was actually the perpetrator and the victim was not a victim. That's why it's very important in law enforcement to be able to have this logical reasoning quality, because you cannot make assumptions and you cannot have a lot of prejudice. You need to make sharp, clean, logical decision based on the information that is given to you, and also deal with cases where there is not enough information to go either side. Okay, so you can't say, oh, this person is 100% a victim, or this person is 100% is not a victim, or vice versa. So that's why they're testing you for this. Okay, so now let's get back to our question. Now here, we cannot establish a relationship, let's say, between bananas and grapefruits, okay, because we don't have enough information. Or we don't have any information about blueberries and bananas because we just don't know. There is not enough. There is no price information. So we need to make sure we don't fall into assumptions, okay? So first statement. Now make sure you read your question. The question says, you want to read it again. The question is not looking for statements that are false. They're looking for statements that are factual or true, okay? So we're looking for true statements. That means that maybe out of this 5 statements, most likely or definitely 4 of them are fake or 4 of them are false, and you got 1 that is true and factual. So we're looking for that one. Bananas are cheaper than raspberries. Let's look at our situation, and we have a relationship here. We have established that raspberries are more expensive than oranges, and oranges are more expensive than bananas. Then the first statement is true. I'll select it, and then we can just read the others. And blueberries are cheapest, the cheapest fruit available. Blueberries, we don't know. Maybe banana is the cheapest fruit available. Maybe oranges. Now oranges cannot be the cheapest fruit because banana are cheaper. So we don't know. We don't, unless we know the relationship between blueberries and bananas, which is not provided here by the statement, then we can assume that the blueberries are the cheapest. So this is false. Blueberries are more expensive than bananas. Blueberries are more expensive than bananas. There is no relationship here. We don't know. We can assume. Blueberries, raspberries and grapefruits are the same price. Raspberries and grapefruits, there is no relationship here. There's no connection. There's no statement. We don't have enough information to make that assumption, so this is false. Oranges are the less expensive. Oranges are less expensive than grapefruits, and again, no relationship between oranges and grapefruits here. So this is still assumption. So correct answer should be the first one. Let's check, and it's correct. So that's why logical reasoning is very, very important. Okay, let's do one more logical reasoning test from our website. You want to sign up for these test preps, go to CJBATtest.com or FBATtest.com, and it will get you to this website. So now let's read this question. No, we did that other question with the bananas and fruits and stuff, but this one I don't think we need to draw anything. Like that's one I like to just draw and kind of have a visual of it. I mean, you can draw as well on this one because you most likely will have a pen and paper nearby when you're taking the exam, but for this one we're just gonna try to like reason logically just on the screen without drawing anything. So Mike and Alexandra work in the same office. Edward and Alexandra both have the same position within the SWAT team. Alexandra is a SWAT team special officer. Mike and Edward are working on the same assignment. There are only 2 SWAT team special officers at Mike and Alexandra's office. Indicate whether the following statement is true, false, or there is insufficient information to draw a conclusion. So the statement is Edward and Mike are both SWAT team special officers and work at the same office. Now you got to go back and try to read between the lines, okay? Now the first thing that I noticed between the lines is that basically Edward is a SWAT officer, but it's not telling you directly. It's indirectly, you have to read between the line and just draw that conclusion, because it tells you that Edward and Alexandra basically have the same position. Okay, so, and then it's telling you that Alexandra is a SWAT team special officer. So if Alexandra is a SWAT officer, then Edward is a SWAT officer. Okay, but they don't work together. Okay, so just let's make that distinction, because this question is kind of tricky. It's written in such a way that they want to make you think that these guys work together. They're not working together, and they're not even in the same office. Only Alexandra and Mike are in the same office. Now, for our statement to be true, we need to make Mike an officer, and we need to make sure that Mike is working with Edward in the same office. If we can make all of that happen, then this statement is true. Now, as far as Mike Jobs goes, we don't know if he's an officer. The tricky statement here tells us Mike and Edward are working on the same assignment. Okay, what if, we know Edward is an officer because of what you just explained you, but what if Mike is he's not a sworn officer, he's not a SWAT officer, he's just helps, he's an assistant, or he's just picking up the phone for Edward, or making copies, or making coffee for him, and we don't know. It just says work on the same assignment. He might be working with him, assisting him, but that doesn't tell us that they have the same position. Here in that statement is telling us that these two, Alexandra and Edward, they have the same position. That means that Edward is also an officer. Mike, we don't know. And this tricky statement is not giving us enough information to draw that conclusion. So the following says there are only two SWAT team special officers and Mike and Alexandra's office. So we don't know if Mike is that other officer. If there are only two officers, Mike might be the assistant, and there might be another officer. It doesn't say there are only two persons working at this office. It only says there are two officers. So maybe there's another officer working with Alexandra, and Mike is maybe the assistant for both of them. Who knows? So going and saying that Edward and Mike are both SWAT team officers and work at the same office, that's not gonna happen, so we can just say false, and that's the correct answer. So if you want to see more of these practice tests, make sure you sign up at CJBATtest.com or FBATtest.com. And also in our CJBAT and FBAT test prep, we do have practice tests to brush up and practice your vocabulary, your reading, writing skills, spelling. You're gonna have a lot of questions with words that are like very, very like kind of tricky. Like let's say the word defendant, is that gonna be D-A-N-T or D-E-N-T? So you're gonna have like question like that, or like fraudulent, is fraudulent gonna be at the end E-N-T or A-N-T? Okay, so the things like that was gonna make you doubt. So you get a lot of like questions like that you want to make sure you know those words that commonly you see in law enforcement tests. So you have reading comprehension test, law enforcement logical reasoning, the one that we just did. There you got plenty of questions and answers. If you give a wrong answer, you'll see the correction and the answer why it was a wrong answer. And then you also have basic law from Florida for the academy, flashcards. These are things that are good to know for your interview. So you don't need to know this to pass the English reading, writing, and logical test, but it will be a good thing to like study, to maybe bring certain things during the interview to basically make a good impression, because as I said, you're competing against a lot of people for the same position, so you want to make a great impression even during the interview or talking to your like background investigators. That all of that matters. So you do want to brush up on this. And then we do have some videos for tips to basically prepare you for the interview stage. So because of course, even if you score really high during the logical reasoning and English reading writing tests and all that, you still have to ace your interview. Every agency is gonna have an interview with you, and these videos and tips will help you. And then also, these are like concepts and terms that you need to know mainly for the interview, and just it will give you overall more confidence dealing with the whole recruitment process, and it's gonna make you look like a more seasoned, more law enforcement savvy, more a sharper, more well-suited candidate for law enforcement, for the position that you're applying for. If you're also applying, you want to apply for federal law enforcement, we have tests for that. We have test prep for that. We have test preps for a lot of these federal positions like Border Patrol, Customs, ICE, and Secret Service agent tests. And a lot of them basically require you to work on the same skills: English reading, writing, logical reasoning. And then for, let's say, for Customs, they would also have a math or arithmetic reasoning. Like Border Patrol doesn't test for math anymore. So I do believe that was causing them to lose a lot of candidates. So now they dropped the math test, but Customs and ICE and Secret Service, they still have the math, arithmetic, reasoning. So we provide test prep for that. Last but not least, CJBAT test, FBAT test, they do not have math in them. Okay, so the arithmetic, reasoning, training, tips, videos that we have on our website is for federal law enforcement preparation for now. We're end of 2018. The CJBAT test and FBAT test, the arithmetic is not a requirement for them. But let's say a few years from now, maybe a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, if the requirements change, then we will add the arithmetic, reasoning, practice tests and tips and tutorials and all that to our CJBAT test prep and FBAT test prep, because we want to have the latest, the most up-to-date test prep available on the market. But for now, as of end of 2018, beginning of 2019, arithmetic is not a requirement. And as I told you, some of the federal agency also are dropping, like the Border Patrol does not require that anymore because it costs them a lot of candidates. So they focus more on the verbal, logical reasoning and English reading and writing. CJBAT and FBAT test do test the candidate for spatial orientation and memorization, which we have a section on our website to help the candidates to score the highest possible in that section of the test. But it's not really the hardest part of the exam. I think the hardest part for a lot of candidates is the logical reasoning, the verbal reasoning part. That's why we have a great preparation on our website to make sure these candidates score the highest and they can rank themselves among the highest candidate on the eligibility list. My time is running out. Thanks for watching this video. Give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.